Hello traders, hopefully you had a wonderful weekend. Welcome back to this week's episode of looking at the support and resistance levels for the next week, today being the 15th of September. And we will be looking at what are the expectations for the whole of next week and as well as tomorrow. Before we start, if you like the content of these videos, please like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification icon. Let us now get back to the monthly chart again. In the monthly chart, we see that the bears were able to bring this month's low to the middle of the last month, and then we pumped up from there, and right now we are near the open of the month, and we will have to see if we get up to the open of the month, and then if we are breaking through it, then we can come to the open of the last month, which is at 5660, and above that we can get to this 5669 or 5670 area, which is the monthly double top. That may act as a resistance once again, and the price may start to come down. We also need to remember that there is this monthly gap that we have. The bears had closed it down, but the bulls brought it back up, so this gap is still open. So this 5575 to the 5558 area can become a very good area of support once again. Now we are in the middle of the month, today being the 15th of September. So now we need to take a look at the last month's ATR again, which was at 409 points. And if we keep going up from the level that we are in, we will get our 400 points somewhere close to 5792 areas. So we will still have to see how the next week closes. And if we are closing somewhere in these areas or towards the top, there is a very good probability that we can get up to the top again and get that ATR move to the upside. So that is all that we have on the monthly chart right now. Let us move on to the weekly chart. Now, if we look at the weekly chart, we can see that we are in a complete trading range in the weekly chart, and this particular bar is actually a mother bar, because this one, the last week's bar, is an inside bar to this, right? So when we have this mother bar, we are putting up the upper one third, the lower one third. We need to keep an eye on these areas, and between this 5532 and 5524, we have the middle of the last week and as well of this mother bar week. So now we have to see if we are getting above on the top here and then crossing above this mother bar and then trying to get to the highs. We will also need to remember that these will be the trap zones towards the upside, and these will be the trap zones towards the downside once we break down the top or the bottom of this particular mother bar. So those are the levels that will be of interest as well, and we can have pullbacks from there. So those will be good profit taking target. Now, since we are in a trading range and we have an inside bar, it becomes difficult to buy the high of this inside bar. So that is why on a lower time frame we actually wait and see how the market is responding to the inside bar. But since we are in a bull trend and we take above this high at 5643, we can come to these areas from 5657 to the 5666 areas, crossing which we can come to this 11 and 21% area of the weekly mother bar that we have. We need to be very much careful in these areas because we are almost near the all-time high and there may be bears present again. So let us now try and count the legs on the weekly chart. So here, if you see, this was the first leg down, we went back up. This was the second leg down, we went back up, and this was the third leg down till here. This was really climactic, and after that climactic move, we had this first leg up and we had this second leg up. Now this was again the first entry short, after which we do have an inside bar. Now as long as we do not get above this inside bar's high, we cannot say that we are starting a new leg to the upside. We'll have to keep an eye on that, and even if we come up to the high of this particular mother bar, there is a good chance that we will get rejected from here, and if we create another red wick right here, that will actually give us the second entry short, and we can actually come down to these lows once again, break it down and get farther to the downside. Now there is one more possibility. Since this was a micro channel, none of these bars took out the high of the previous bars. Many machines can look at it as a single leg to the downside, and then there was a two-legged pullback to the upside, and this mother bar was the second leg down. We did not continue below that, but now we are not breaking above the high of it as well. So as long as we do not break above the high of this, I cannot say that the bulls are really in a good position here, although we do have a very good bullish move. But this may be the area where the market is actually turning down, and it may again come down and see these upper one-third areas to the 50% areas down here this week. And if this was the second leg down, considering this was the L2, then it will be considered as the first entry long once again at the top of this bar. So there is a high possibility that this bar can be reversed. I will also keep this particular line marked at 5681 because this was the line where this particular week opened, where the dump started on the downside. So now what may happen is either we get above this line, this particular line 564243 area, or I would say the 564645 area, keep holding above that, we get above this, and then we will see if we are trying to get to these levels. Otherwise, we are in the 89 to the 79% area to the upside, and the 11 to 21% area to the downside is 5451 to 5424. So now we have to see that whether we are coming down these levels. So if we are breaking down this 5610, and then if we break down that 5592, mostly we will come down to this 5575 level again in this particular box, 5584 to 5575. And then if it does not start bouncing from there, mostly we will come down to these lows again. I will keep these lines marked here as well. We can come down to this 5560 area, 5559 area, breaking which there is a big possibility that we can come down to this middle of the week area and then to this 5484 area at the downside. Now there are other reasons also for which I am thinking that the market may pull back for some time. We will look at that in the lower time frames. That is all we had on the weekly chart. Let us now move on to the daily chart. Now, if I look at the weekly ATR from last week, it was at 214 points. So if we are trying to get 200 points from here, we will get to the 5800 area. But if we are coming down 200 points from here, we will come somewhere near the 5430 areas towards the lower one third of this weekly mother bar. Now, if we look at the daily chart and if we start to count the legs, we can say that this was the first leg down, which had the spike down, and then we had the second leg down here. And then after that, we had the first leg up, we had the second leg up. This is the second leg up that we are doing. Now, if we manage to come down below this 5598.75 level, that will mean that we are starting another leg to the downside. And if that happens, there is a good possibility that we will come and see this 20 EMA on the daily chart at the 5556 area. If you also look at it, the wicks of these two daily candles is actually creating the sell zone here. We tried to get inside the sell zone. We failed multiple times on Friday, and now we will have to see if we are able to get above this 4-3 area, try to get to this 5-8 to the 6-0 area, and then keep moving up. Otherwise, if we are failing to do that, and overnight, if we see that the price is coming down, we will have to take a look at the lower time frames to look at the leg structures and then decide which way the market is moving. As of now, we are continuing in the second leg of this particular bullish move, but since this was a micro channel, I am thinking that there might be a pullback that can start once again, and especially because we are in this consolidation area once again. Now, if you also see here, if we consider that this was the breakout below this particular candle, then this candle came back up and tried to get into that area but could not get to this area, and we created this breakout gap. Every time we have tried to get above this breakout gap, we have found bears in this area and we have come down. And right now we are seeing on today's candle, the breakout gap is getting rejected. Now we will have to see if this Globex open of today, which is around 5622 or 23 area, if we break that down, then we can come down to the levels farther down. The first support area will be somewhere here. I will mark that as a buy zone, which is between 5606 and 5596. Below that, we can come to this particular double top area, which is at 5567 to the 5565 area. However, I am thinking that we will find some kind of bullish support in this area as well prior to that, which will be the 5586 or the 5580 area. And right below that, we will have that 5575 area that we saw on the weekly chart. Even if these areas are broken down, the next area that we can see is the 55-58 area, which will be very close to the EMA. If we are breaking down the EMA, then we can come back to the 55-40 areas once again. And below that, our next area of support will be at 5532. And then we may find ourselves somewhere in the 5513 to the 05 area. There may be some more support available in this area, but that we will find out only in the lower time frames. Now, looking at the daily ATR, we ended at 71 points on Friday. So if we want to come down 71 points from this particular high, we will find ourselves somewhere near this 5556 area. And if the price tries to capture 70 points to the upside, that will bring us somewhere close to the 5692 areas again. Now, looking at the 4-hour chart, let's first do a leg count. So after this new low that was created, now again, this new low was actually a higher low, and this is a double bottom area. After after this new low was created, we got this first leg up, that was a micro channel up. Then we had this two-legged pullback right here, and then we got the second leg up. We had another pullback on this candle, and then we went up to create the third leg. So at this point of time on this 4-hour ETA chart, we do have a wedge right here. Now we will have to see if we are breaking out of the top. That will mean that the wedge top is breaking out, and there can be a couple of more legs to the upside. Now we will have to see whether those legs to the upside is happening like this in a sideways market, and suddenly we are trying to break down everything and come back down. Otherwise, if we are going above this 5641 5642 area and then we are holding on to that, it is highly probable that will come somewhere in this 5667 area, somewhere in this box. This box will be a very good resistance area, but if the bulls are strong enough and we can break out of this, we can get back to this box here again. However, if we are coming down, if we are breaking down the low of this particular 4-hour candle, we can come down to the 5608 to the 5596 area, failing which we will come to retest this 5581. We need to see where the 4-hour EMA is at that point of time, and otherwise we can come down to the 5568 if we get below the EMA. Below that, we will have our next target as the 5553 to the 5540 area, and then we can come down to the 5523 to the 5507 areas, and then to the subsequent levels to the downside. Now we may have a couple of legs sideways to down, but if you see that we are in a very tight bullish channel, if I just draw the parallel line of this and put it right here, we are in a very tight bullish channel. So now we will have to see whether we are breaking down this channel or we are trying to go and hit this channel line somewhere on the top, creating the fourth leg to the upside. Now if the fourth leg is strong, that may be climactic, or it may actually try to get above it once again. What we have here is, after the second leg that happened, we have another spike. So this spike can actually give us two more legs, and if we are trying to get just a 1:1 of this spike, we will come to this 5671 area, and if we get 1:2 of that, we can come to the 5700 areas very easily. But these plays will come into effect only when we break out of the trading range that we created on Friday. We close above the high of Friday and hold that area, and then keep going up. Now let us take a look at the 1-hour ETA chart. On the 1-hour ETA chart, if you see, this is the trend line and this is the wedge line on the top. This was the first touch, this was the second touch, and this was a very nice third touch here. If you actually take a closer look, you can see that, okay, this was the third touch and this was the fourth touch. After that, we are moving sideways. This was the first attempt to break down. So this is L1. This was the second attempt. This was L2. And this was the third attempt. This was L3. Now we can see that L1, L2, L3 has broken down. So as a result of this, there is a micro wedge on this particular downside as well on the 1-hour chart. Now we will have to see on the 1-hour chart, if we are breaking down this 5622 to the 5618 area, then it is highly possible that we will come somewhere in this particular balance zone that we had on the 1-hour chart. I will mark that in blue, and failing which we can come to retest these areas at 5594, below which we can come down either to the 5586 areas, and if we break down the 5586 to the 84 area, our next target will be somewhere between 5577 to the 5570 area, and then we can find ourselves somewhere in this trading range. Below that, we will come down to the 5540 to the 24 area. However, we will have one important line here, which will be at the 5550 line, and if we are breaking down that, then we may actually on the 1-hour chart come and retest these areas down here again at 5507, but I will say that 5513 will have another very good support area right before that. If we break down all these levels, then at some point of time, we may come and touch this trend line. We will have to see what happens when it comes down there. Now, on the upside, if we can get above and hold this high of Friday, then we can come to this 5650 area. Above the 5650 area, we will be somewhere in this 5670 to the 5660 area. And if we are breaking out above that 5670, only then we can think about the next areas of resistance to the top, which will be again in the 73 to the 76 area. And then we may find ourselves in this particular zone again, which is the next sub area above this 5677. That was the hourly area of distribution, and we went back up a little bit, but we could not get above this high, and we dumped from there. So a majority of the bears will still be sitting in this particular area, and I will mark that as a sell zone, which is around the all-time high. And also we will have some kind of support right here, because this was the major breakdown, and I will also keep a line right here below this particular bull flag that that we had. There will be another bull flag that is available in the 17 to the 14 area, so we need to be careful when we come inside this box. This if we actually come up here, this will be a very good area to take profit and then wait and see where the market is moving. Now, one more important thing that I will keep an eye on is the hourly EMA on the ETA chart. So if we see that the price is trying to come back down again, then we will have to see that if we are breaking down this hourly EMA or we are holding above it. Like if you see in this whole move, this 1 hour EMA has been a very good support. So we will now have to see whether we are coming back down to it and then whether we are breaking it down and continuing to the downside, or we bounce up from here and start going up once again. Now on the 1 hour and the 4 hour chart, I'll keep this trend line connecting the all-time high to the next lower high. The price may actually come up to these areas somewhere around the 56, 55, 56 area at some point of time and then start getting rejected from this trend line once again. Now looking at the 5-minute RTA chart, you will see this was the first touch, second touch, third touch, fourth touch. We did have the fifth touch as well, and then we started coming down. But if we are getting above this 564142 levels once again and we want to do a 1:1 of this particular trading range that we had, that will bring us somewhere to the 56, 58 area. And if we do a 1:2, it will take us to another 30 points to the top, somewhere in the 5680s. Now if this trading range breaks down and we want to do a 1:1 to the downside, that will bring us somewhere to the 5607 area, and below that we can come down to the 5575 areas as well as a 2:1 of this 30-point move. We will have to wait and see if we are breaking out this 41 line. Then we will have to see if we are breaking out of this particular wedge line or we are coming up here again and getting rejected. Now we will have to see at what point that is happening, but again, once we come up to that, I am pretty sure that there will be bears waiting somewhere around this area to bring the price down once again, or that will be a very good profit taking target for the bulls as well. Now I will keep some more buy zones here as well, which is between this 22 and the 20 area. Below that we can come to this 5615 to the 13 area and then to the 5607 area. We have to remember that we do have a double bottom right here, which may also work as a very good support at 5605. And if we break down this 5605 line, we will come to the 5599 or the 5600 area, breaking which we will be back to this 5594 to the 5589, and then we can finally come and retest one of these areas, which is at 5581 to the 5579, failing which we can get to this 5575 area, which will do a 2:1 of that particular trading range, and then we can subsequently come down the levels below. We will have to keep an eye if the price is bouncing from here at 5556, or if we break down, then we have levels that we have marked down below for subsequent move to the downside. So that is all the analysis that I have for now. Tomorrow morning we will come back again at 8:45 a.m. EST to decide the trading plan for the day. If you want to join that call, the link to that Google Meet is given in the description below. Along with that, you will also find the link to our free Discord server and the Facebook page. You are very welcome to join there. This is where I will end the call tonight, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow morning. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.